Okay, so good evening, everyone. Welcome to your final meeting of the RAC 21. Very exciting, quite the milestone you've reached. So I'm going to start off with the regular roll call. So I'm going to check them off as I go. So Tiffany, I see you present. Alex? Alex emailed me and said he was going to dial in, so I'm sure if a number dials in, that'll be him. Cassandra? Chris Engel?
Here.
Stephanie Cobb?
Present.
Amina Diaz? Delon Jackson?
Here.
Mike Nail? Deborah Rusa?
Here.
Sean Smith?
Here.
Steve Greenberg?
Here.
Jim McCulley? And Rosie Enriquez?
Here.
Perfect. Do you know if Jim's going to make it, Rosie? I know you guys always coordinate.
I thought he was going to, so I haven't heard anything different.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, so let's move on to the agenda. Are there any comments from the public? I don't see anyone that's the public on the line. Alex, is that you with the 6996 number?
It is.
Okay, perfect. I just wanted to make sure it wasn't a community member. And I have marked you as present now.
Thank you so much.
Sure. Okay, so let's move on to the discussion items. The first item is the community input, the matrix. As you can tell from the agenda, nothing has changed. I didn't assume that there was any additional conversation on that. Unless I'm wrong, I'm happy to stop there and get any conversation from you on that. Okay, so one question I did have was for you, Chris Chaffee, about that matrix. Did we include that as part of the feedback or the mapping piece that you did?
No, I was just taking the maps that were either hand drawn or drawn in Districtor. Usually we don't, as practice, draw the emails that are sent in. That okay. We just use those as narrative.
Okay. So then my question is to the rest of the group is, when you were writing up your pieces for your district, did you consider that matrix piece in as well, or were you just using the maps that you got?
I use the matrix.
Okay. Tiffany, go ahead.
I used a little bit of both, honestly.
Okay.
But it was more so just the community input. I just, I felt that was the bigger piece. But I did have a question. Will residents still be able to submit public comments even after we make this presentation to the Board of Supervisors? And then also, and then what's the time length for that?
So they can do public comments up until the day that the board adopts the maps. So we continually will be taking input from the community. I have a feeling that once the maps, once we start drawing maps, that there'll be a little bit more input or more, we might see more participation. But for now, yeah, they can continue to provide input as needed. As I receive input, I'll continue to update the matrix, and it'll continue to be provided to the board as part of this process.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
Of course. Okay, so if there's no more discussion on the matrix, I wanted to move forward to the report, and then maybe also talk a little bit about the presentation to the board. So let's leave the presentation to last. But I wanted to start off with the report. I sent you out about an hour and a half ago a copy of the revised report. I know I sent you out a week ago or so what it had started looking like. Since then, I've added in some additional stuff. I've started writing your the executive summary, because the executive summary should really just talk about why we're doing this report, and then also talk a little bit about what the findings were. So the findings piece is not done yet, but I've done sort of the introductory piece of that executive summary, and then we've also moved some stuff around from the last time you saw the report. I took out some of the framework headings because those were just guidelines on what we should consider writing about. And so I've tried to make the report flow a little bit more clearer in those sections. And then and we moved some pictures around. We added in some pictures, just trying to make it appealing to the eye as well. And then I flowed in all 5 of your information that I got from Sean. We did make a couple of changes, so please go over your sections. You'll see that there were some things that each one of you said, like, this is why we're doing this, and that sort of becomes part of the bigger report. So we try to make it flow a little bit differently so that we were just pushing out the information at that point. And then we also picked some photos that we have from the various districts and put it in the SOPs, and we try to align that with what some of the communities of interest were. And we're happy to take any input from you, anything you want to add. We're here to help you with this process. So Tiffany, did you still have your hand up, or was that before?
No, I just a comment. So I did get a chance to look at the draft PowerPoint, and I heard earlier before we got on, it's beautifully done. So I appreciate that part. I do have a comment in regards to District 1, some of the photos. We were very specific about the areas, and there's nothing that looks like where I live in North Vallejo. So I don't know if we have a stock photo that we could use to kind of to represent North Vallejo. If you want me to go out the pictures, I can do that. They won't be high quality, they'll just be on my iPhone. But I'd be more than happy to do that this weekend, just so that, you know, it feels more like my area. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, actually, we welcome that. We just used what we had because we're running short of time in trying to get things in. And I think we flowed those, and we did note that some of the pictures may not have been specific. Like I think in District 2, we put a Jelly Belly picture in there because I think we couldn't find what we were looking for. So, I mean, if you guys want to provide us with some pictures, iPhone quality pictures are not bad pictures these days. In fact, some of them take better pictures than normal cameras do. So, yeah, if there is something that you want to forward to us that we can consider, what we were trying to do is trying to show you what your end report can look like. And just give you some ideas. You know, the other thing I was also considering is if you guys wanted to send me pictures of yourselves as the RAC, I would be happy to put that next to your names on that last page where we list out who the RAC members were. So I'm happy to do that, but I think that also needs to be an all or nothing. So either everyone sends a picture or we don't use pictures at all. So, but that's up to you guys. I'm just trying to make it a good looking report for you guys.
I have a question, Michelle.
Yes.
This is Rosie. Do we send the pictures directly to your email?
Yeah, you can send everything directly to me.
Great, thank you.
So any other comments, anything else we can help with on this report? It is still, oh, I did want to mention this to you. Your report is not going to make the September 28th board meeting. The reason for that is that the agenda actually went out today. And because the report wasn't done, I couldn't keep it on the agenda. But I'm okay with that. I did send out an email to the board members letting them know that that they can expect to see your report on the 5th of October. And I didn't get anything back with concerns about that. So it gives us a little bit more time to refine your report and also to put the presentation together. So our deadline for submitting everything now is this coming Wednesday by noon. I have to have everything in the system finalized by noon this coming Wednesday. So I will continue to work on the report over the weekend and even next week. But as I receive stuff from you, we'll start flowing stuff in. But I want to by probably by midday on Tuesday give you a final report to approve that you're okay with it, and please do read through it as best you can, because I'm seeing it all the time now, and I'm worried that I overlook something. So please read through it nicely and just give me some feedback if you can. If you have time between now and before Monday, when I'm going to start really revising stuff, yeah, please send me your input. I'd be happy to make some revisions and then copy everyone on your input as well, so that people know what input you've provided. So if there's any concerns or someone else has a concern with that we can all work through this via email. Okay, any other comments on the report or anything more to discuss? Okay, go ahead, Delon.
Yeah, so I don't know if Sean sent it over to you, but we have a revised section for District 3 and District 5. So
Okay.
what you have, yeah, so he's going to send it over, because what you have, we changed a lot of that up, especially in District 5. So just wanted to let you know.
Yeah, it was in a little bit of a different format, I believe. So, so
Yeah.
did you try and make it more consistent? Is that what you did?
It is.
Okay.
It is. If you look at it, you'll see it all flows. Sean should be delivering it to you.
Perfect.
Yeah, I probably sent it maybe half an hour ago or something.
Oh, I haven't seen it yet. Okay, so thank you. So good to know. I will definitely we'll flow that into the document. So the version you see on Monday afternoon or Tuesday is, I'll see how fast I can get it to you, will be the version that will have all of that, those changes in. And Sean, did you send that to everyone on the rack?
Yeah, I think they were CC'd the shared email, I believe,
Okay.
and then I sent it to the leads with the CC of the rack email.
Okay.
So yeah, I think everybody should have that.
All right, perfect. So so if you guys for District 3 and District 5 want to just review and make sure that what Sean sent is good for your districts, then give me the heads up, the thumbs up on that, and then I'll flow that into the document for you. All right, so can we move on to, did you have more questions, Delon?
No, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's fine. Okay, so then we'll move on to the presentation. So I did give you a template presentations, like a slide deck. Is that the one you're going to use, or are you going to use something different?
You sent us a template, right, Michelle?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, actually, I thought the template looked pretty good.
Okay.
I mean, we have our own, we've passed around some content, I think, between the leads, but the template I thought was good.
Okay, good. So then you can just keep adding pages to it and add what you want into the template. Mm-hmm. So here is my suggestion to you. Is if you can keep each of your presentations to 1 or a maximum of 2 slides per district. Because if you each went to 2 slides, we're now at 10 slides. Typically, the board doesn't like a whole bunch of slides, but they do tolerate a couple more slides than usual from when it's an outside group that's presenting. So, how I was envisioning your presentation going is it'll be in person at the board. You will be able to dial in if you need to, as opposed to being there. And then I will introduce the item to the board, and then I will hand it over to the advisory committee. And then at that point, whoever's going first, I'm assuming you might do it in district order, just because that's how you wrote the report. So then I'll hand it over to you to provide your presentation to the board. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Okay. So when do you envision you'll get the presentation completed?
What is the deadline?
So I would like everything by noon on Friday. I mean on Wednesday. However, a presentation deck can go out separately. So we want to make sure the transmittal report and your attached report makes the agenda. But if you need extra time, we can send out the slide deck separately to the board. We don't typically do it that way, but we've done it in the past if it just hasn't been ready. So I would suggest if you can do it by noon on Wednesday. Otherwise, we should shoot for at least noon by Thursday, because if it's noon by Thursday, we could possibly still get it into the email that goes out to the board with the links to the agenda. But either way, we'll, yeah, I would say the latest noon on Thursday for that.
Yeah,
So
that seems
are
pretty
each of you
reasonable.
doing your slides separately, or is one person doing the slide deck?
People have been creating their own, and then I got some information from different districts, so I was more focused on the report, but I have some of that information in my emails, and I was kind of dumping it into a PowerPoint, and then was going to try to make it look a little bit more cohesive and then send it to the group.
Okay. That sounds good.
And
Yeah,
I think you
consistency
mentioned,
wins.
yeah, I think Tiffany was talking about maybe getting some other pictures. So if we have a little bit of time, I think I might want to find some more pictures for District 4 as well. I think that might be helpful if we can get those in the PowerPoint and the report.
Okay. Yeah, whatever you guys send me, I will try and include in the report. And then you might want to on your PowerPoint, you might want to just do bullet points and then maybe more pictures, just to make it more appealing rather than a whole bunch of text. Because I've seen PowerPoints where people literally write out a paragraph and then read it, and it doesn't make our board very happy. So I'm just trying to guide you through this process. Okay, so any more questions, anything relative to the PowerPoint? I would suggest you send it to me so I can just look at it for consistency at some point, even if it's not in its complete form, just so I can sort of see what you guys are doing, so I know what the board's going to be seeing. Because if I get it at the last minute, then I don't have time to suggest any changes. Go ahead, Tiffany.
This may have already been answered. I had to step away from my computer for half a second. Do we know where we're at on the agenda? Are we in the morning? Are we in the afternoon?
So you will definitely be in the morning, because they can only be there for a half day. I have also requested to have you be the first item on the agenda. So what happens is the board will open. There may or may not be presentations. Sometimes presentations can go long, sometimes not. I do know there is a presentation to recognize Cybersecurity Month, I think it is. That's the only presentation I know about so far. So if that's the case, if there's only one presentation, I'm guessing that'll take maybe 10 minutes. Then they do take some comments from the public, 3 minutes each. There's usually 2 or 3 people that speak at that. and then they will go into the, they'll approve the consent agenda, and then the regular agenda will start up. So I'm guessing it should be no later than 9:30 that morning if there's only one presentation. But I would suggest be ready at 9 o'clock just in case, so that you're ready to go and you dialed in, and, or you're in the board chambers at that point, so that we, we can get you set up and you'll know where to sit and stuff like that. So I'd suggest get there before 9 if you're going to be there in person, and at 9 o'clock if you're going to dial in. And if you are planning to dial in, send me your let me know that you're planning to dial in, because I've got to let the clerk know who to expect, and because she'll know who to call on at that point.
And it's still next Tuesday, right?
Correct. No, it's not. It's on the 5th of October.
Oh, okay. Well, then I might be able to come in person. Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yeah. So just to go back, you might have missed this. So we didn't make this past agenda. The agenda went out today. We didn't make the agenda because the report couldn't be attached. Wasn't ready to go. So we've moved you to the October 5th agenda, and I have let the board members know that.
Thank you.
Yep. So very exciting. I'm very excited for you guys. This will be I think, a good presentation for the board.
Michelle, I would like to ask, so when we do a PowerPoint, are we doing it like in a minute or 30 seconds? What's best?
So no, so you're not stuck to a time period, but I think I think brevity is good for the board. Try and think of what you're trying to tell them as an executive summary report, right? I would say, because if everyone spent 3 to 5 minutes on a slide and you have 10 slides, next minute you're there forever. I think the board just wants to know the gist of what it is that you are that you heard when you were out in the community, and what were some of the concerns. I would also suggest, if you did do some extra legwork where you went and spoke to community members that couldn't make it to meetings, you can also let them know that you did that extra legwork, because that all fits into the themes of the stuff that you put into your reports. Okay, but I would suggest try and be as brief as possible, because as you think about it, you could talk about this stuff forever. Because the other piece is we also need to leave some time for the board members to ask questions, right? Because they may have specific questions for specific to their district. So we have to also give them an opportunity to ask questions.
Michelle, do you anticipate them asking questions at the end of each district, or do you think they would normally wait until the end of the presentation?
They usually wait until the end of the presentation, and then what will happen is, once you're done presenting, the chair will usually thank you for your presentation, and then he'll open it up to usually to public comment as well, because the public will have an opportunity to comment. And if there's no public comment, or once the public comment's done, the board will then have their discussion, which may or may not include questions. But I have seen in the past where they will interrupt a presenter to ask questions. It's not likely, but there are times that they have done that. So I think you'll be fine. And if they do start asking questions, you can just stop, hear what the question is. And it might be a question that I answer because it's, something I did or didn't do or whatever. We just can't anticipate what their questions are going to be.
So do you think maybe like 2 or 3 minutes per district as a starting point is good?
Yeah, I would say 3 minutes max if you can. Just generally talk about it. Just remember in the report, right, you already started out discussing what the district looks like, the existing lines, blah, blah, blah. So you don't have to regurgitate that to them, and they know what their districts are. Mostly why we put that in the report was because it's a public report, and so that anyone that's wanting to read this after the fact or 10 years from now when they have to redo this, they've got something to go by and they can understand what it looked like, what the landscape looked like when you were taking this input from the community. Okay. Any more questions? But please read the report as best you can. Read the pieces. We added into the report sort of the upfront, trying to introduce the report. Our county council did a nice job of laying out some of the legal stuff. Our IT guys did a nice job of trying to, put together what some of the IT, the usage was and the support that they gave the team. So we wanted to recognize that as well. Okay, anything else? You guys feeling good about this?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah, I think you guys did a good job synthesizing the input that you got.
The proof is going to be in who gets to play Solomon and decides how to divvy up the babies that are out there that are certainly there's some areas that there's substantial divergence on, like in districts 1 and 2, for instance, what should be part of what. And it'll be really interesting to see how the board ultimately comes down and listens to, well, the comments don't necessarily reflect the unity of view. It represents the diversity of the view. So it'll be very interesting to see that process. And I have a question. Will that all be conducted in the open, or will some of that be like discussions in executive session? So no. So following this presentation, this project basically ends up with the board in public hearings. So following this, the consultant will use the input that we've received so far and start drawing some proposed maps. So there'll be proposed maps for the board to consider, and that will all be in an open discussion in the board chambers. There's 5 of those meetings that will occur before, actually 4, guaranteed 4, but there's a 5th one scheduled just in case they don't get it done by the 7th of December. We've left an extra week in an extra meeting in the schedule to be able to get them to meet the deadline of December 15th. And so, the maps will be made public and available for public input 7 days before each hearing. And then the board will discuss this in open session, and the board and anyone is welcome to attend and provide input specifically on the maps at that point. So this is meant to be an open, transparent process, and for them to discuss these maps in open session. Okay. All right. Well, if there aren't any other questions or any other comments, I will, like I said, finish off the report as best I can, start flowing in any issues you see with the report or anything you feel could be said different or done differently, or if we change some of the stuff in your sections that you don't like or would like us to rethink, please, because I want everyone to be okay with this report before it actually goes in front of the board. We should all be in agreement that it's what we want to take forward to the board. So other than that, I will wait to hear from you guys.
enjoy the rest of your evening. And I'm looking forward to seeing the PowerPoint as soon as possible, if you can. All right. All right. Well, good night, everyone.
All right, thanks, everyone.
Good night.
Good night. Thanks.
Thank you.
Night.